guys, I'm Melissa and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you some ways that I simplified my own diet to make it easier for me to stick with this healthy way of eating long term. We humans are all about the path of least resistance. And I don't know about you, but when I'm really hungry, the last thing I want to do is follow an 18-step recipe that requires 20 ingredients and, wait all that time and put in all that energy just to get some food. For me, I'm hungry, I want to eat, and I want to just be able to be on autopilot, know exactly what to do, and be able to eat something pretty quickly. And so I've kind of set up my life when it comes to food in a way that makes everything as easy as possible. And so I'm going to share with you my 10 item grocery list that is just my go-to. If I had to only get 10 items from the store so that I would be full all week and have what I need to make some easy meals that I actually enjoy, then these would be the 10 items. And another reason I recommend doing this for yourself is that it's just convenient. If you are traveling, for example, and you're going to someone else's house and they're not vegan, they may not know how to prepare certain foods for you and you don't want to inconvenience them, then you can just go to the grocery store, grab your 10 items, bring it back to their house, and you're set for the week. So for me, I've kind of refined this list over time. And what inspired me to make this video was actually the amount of people who were messaging me and giving me the feedback that they're enjoying these videos and my what I eat in a day videos in particular because of how simple the meals are, because it makes it look doable. And they're thinking, hey, you're not following all of these complex rules that I don't personally have time for. You're actually just putting together things that I could probably do at home. And so I really loved getting that feedback, and I just wanted to kind of make this video all about simplifying your diet and giving yourself the best chance of success when it comes to healthy eating, attaining your weight loss goals, and regaining your health. I believe one of the biggest tools for success long term with following this way of eating is to simplify it. It can be so exciting to look at all of these really fancy recipes and look at an eggplant vegan lasagna or a fancy burrito bowl with some kind of a beautiful sauce. And those things can be fun to make when you've got the free time. But I really recommend having your go-to meals that you can make that are just on autopilot, that when you're hungry and you feel like just popping a frozen pizza in the oven, that instead of doing that, you have a healthy option that you know how to make and that you always have the key ingredients for at home, in your fridge, in your pantry. All right, I will share with you the 10 items now. All right, I'm gonna go over the frozen items first so that I can put them back in the freezer and they don't melt. So this here is frozen bananas. Something that I have almost every day is a smoothie, and I like to make my smoothies thick and creamy and have almost a milkshake consistency. It really gives me the sense like I'm having a dessert, and it just makes it way more delicious in my opinion. So something that I do is I buy a ton of bananas at a time, like a lot. My counter is usually full of bananas. And because I live in Arizona, they ripen really quickly, I notice. And I love that. I love when they get super, super ripe and spotty and really soft, because that is when they are their sweetest. And I open them up, chop them up, and put them into a glass bowl in the in the freezer. And I actually have quite a few of these bowls in the freezer at one time, just so that I've got at least a week or 2 weeks worth of smoothies that I can make when I want them. Now, if I didn't have this prepared or I ran out of bananas, now all of a sudden I have to come up with something else that's outside of my routine, and maybe I would be tempted to eat something packaged, or if I want a sugary treat, then I'm like, oh, well, what could I have? Well, and then I go outside of my routine. So for me, having everything in this list at home at all times is the key to me staying diligent with this way of eating and just making it easier on myself to not go off track. And so frozen bananas blended up into smoothies is item number 1. Item number 2 is frozen blueberries. Now, I use these in my smoothies as well, And I will also use them in item number 3, which is oatmeal. And something else that I'm noticing about my 10 items here is that they're also very inexpensive. It just makes grocery shopping less expensive, easy to do. These foods are readily available. You don't need to go to a specialty store to get any of them. You can go to pretty much any grocery store and get all 10 of these items. And so the next one is oatmeal. This is a super filling starch food that is so essential to my diet. Again, when I want something sweet and dessert-like, I will have oatmeal with blueberries, and I'll add some cinnamon, and if I really want it extra sweet, I will also add in some stevia. So having these big containers of oatmeal in my pantry is essential, and I usually buy 3 to 5 of them at a time just so that I have them at home. And Alex also likes oatmeal as well, so it kind of goes, we go through these containers quite quickly in our household. All right, so the next 2 items are starches, and if you've been watching my videos, you'll know how important starches are to keeping you full and satisfied, and I eat all of these foods in unlimited quantity until I'm full, satisfied, and feeling good. So I do not measure or weigh the quantity of any of my food. And that's the amazing thing about eating this way, following lower calorie density. All of these food items are under 700 calories per pound of food. And so it enables you to lose weight, get to your ideal weight range without being hungry, which I love. So we've got rice, and a lot of people message me asking me if I eat white rice or what type of rice that I like. I love jasmine rice, basmati rice. This is just regular long grain rice, and that's what I'm eating right now. And then I always get at least 1 10-pound bag of potatoes. Now, I coach people through the weight loss process following this way of eating. And one of the questions I get a lot is, when people first start eating this way, they tend to want to stick with the greens and the veggies because it's lower calorie density, and they feel like that's the healthy choice to make. But then they're like, I feel like I'm still hungry at the end of the day, or, you know, what do I do about these cravings? And I always ask them the same thing. Are you eating potatoes? Potatoes are the most satisfying, satiating, filling food out there. And I think it's just so important to have these starches in your diet to keep yourself full so that you're not constantly having cravings throughout the day and feeling like you're just not eating enough. So potatoes are a go-to for me, and specifically one dish that I make a lot, besides just eating baked potatoes, which I love, is I slice up these potatoes into little fries, but I don't fry them. I just put them on a baking sheet in the oven for 25 minutes-ish at 450 degrees Fahrenheit, and I make no oil fries, and then I dip the potatoes into a bean dip. So what I do is I take an entire can of beans, I like black beans the best, and I will use lemon juice, which is another item on my list. I use this to flavor almost all of my meals because I just love lemon juice. It really adds a kick to the meal, makes everything taste really good. And then I will add a handful of dark leafy greens. Now I add this to my smoothies as well. So if you're not wanting to get a bunch of different greens and have to wash them, chop them, and put in any effort at all, then what I recommend is to always have a big container of organic super greens or spring mix, or even just spinach on hand that is pre-washed. So what you can do is you can open it up, grab a handful, and throw it into your smoothies. Just throw it into the blender, and there you go. You've got healthy greens for that day. And so I also will add in this green mix to my dips. So that is one of the most filling and satisfying meals that I make, if not every day, every other day. Most of these foods I eat every other day at least. And so I just love that. I use the entire can of beans. Now people might look at that and say, isn't that a lot of food? Shouldn't I be measuring and weighing and portioning that? I do not measure or weigh any of my meals. I eat until I'm full, and this has worked for me. And I just really want to stress that point. It's totally natural if you're used to measuring and counting calories to feel like is this all right to eat this much food? But again, because the overall calorie density of your meals is so much lower than if you were to be eating a standard American diet, yes, you can still lose weight by eating ad libitum, as they say, until you're completely full and satisfied. Next on my grocery list is a big bag of frozen broccoli or a mixed vegetable bag. And having this in my freezer means I can just pop some in a pan with a little bit of water and have some delicious broccoli ready to add to a rice dish with some beans. And it's just such an easy and healthy meal. All right, the last item on my list that I always get at the grocery store is onions. I really like the taste of onions and garlic. Onions are just easier for me to cut up, and again, I look for the path of least resistance. I like garlic just as much, but it's just so much work to peel off the skin of it and cut it all up. And you know, onions for me, way easier, faster, and you get more of it per item, I guess, if that makes sense. Now, you might be looking at this and thinking, isn't that boring? Aren't you sick of eating the same thing over and over, the same breakfast, the same kinds of smoothies, you know, oatmeal again, rice and veggies again? The honest answer is no. I mean, everyone has their own, I guess, threshold for boredom with food, and I am very glad that I am okay with these monotonous meals over and over again, because if I was a bit more open and like thrill-seeking with my food and feeling like I needed variety, I feel like that is what kind of leads into ending up eating foods that are not compliant with this way of eating. And if I felt like, oh, I need to go out to a restaurant, or I really want takeout, or I really want to try all these different things, for me, I know that that leads me to being tempted, and this way I can just stick with what works for me. I don't mind routine, and I think that that is on my side. So I do understand that some people are not that way, and they don't want to be eating the same types of things over and over again, and it's going to be a little bit more challenging for you. You can still make it work, but I still recommend looking at where you can simplify your diet, simplify your grocery shopping list, and really get clear on what meals are going to fill you, that you're going to enjoy, and that are going to be super healthy and in line with the health goals that you have for yourself. So, you know, maybe challenge yourself to find 2 really yummy filling breakfasts, 2 lunches and 2 dinners, and 2 different vegan, low calorie density desserts. That alone should be good for a while. I think on rotation, those meals, I don't think you will get bored of them anytime soon. And if you do, then, you know, maybe every once in a while, swap something new into the mix. But I just really wanted to encourage you to simplify when possible and just make this process easier on yourself. All right, I'm about to wrap up this video, but I just wanted to share with you one more idea that made a lot of sense to me and that I found to be super helpful. And it comes from Dr. Doug Lisle, who also eats this way and has been for, I believe, 30 plus years. And he's a real big inspiration in my life. I will link some of his videos in the description box down below. But something that he says is to get yourself into a deep groove. When you first start eating this way, and I know that when I first started eating this way, it took a bit of work. I had to figure things out. I had to try things. I had to see what I did like, what I didn't like so much, or how I could season and flavor things so that I would enjoy them even more. And it did take a little bit of willpower and effort. But the goal is to put things on autopilot and do them enough so that they get into habits and routines so that you're just in the flow of it. And so that idea of getting into a deep groove of the healthy habits that we want to have in our life just makes so much sense to me. And I can recognize the same thing is true about a workout routine. When I first start going to the gym, for example, the first couple of weeks are just like, oh, I have to get myself ready. I have to get a water bottle. I have to get the motivation, put my running shoes on, and make myself get out the door. But after a couple weeks of doing that same effort over and over and over again, it's just on autopilot, and you do get into this really nice rhythm, this really nice deep groove that just takes that need to have the willpower and all that effort put in away, and it just simplifies things. And that's exactly how I feel about my diet and the meals that I make. It's just boom, boom, boom. I get out my blender, I throw in my ingredients, blend it up, eat it. Boom, 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 boom. I know where everything is. I know where everything is at the grocery store that I need. I don't even need to write out a list. And it has just made my life so much easier. And that is what I wish for you. All right, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you have an awesome week, and I'll see you next time.